You're listening to the best of Ruocco and Rothenberg on ESPNNewYork.com. You hear them every weekday beginning at noon, only on ESPN New York 98.7 FM.
Hello there, Dave.
How are you, sir?
Oh,
good to see you.
Yeah, it's good to see you, too. I love how we do that like we haven't been talking the last half hour. Like, when you get on air,
right,
you say hello to your
how
co-host.
I am.
That's right.
I've been good. You really want to know how I am?
Yeah.
The game was it took a long time. I'm a little sleepy.
Yeah?
Yeah. Well, it took a long time last night.
It did take a long time.
It was a great game.
Seeing people complaining about the time, I say, no, if I can have 4 hours and 45 minutes of that, I will take it.
It's not the 4 hours and 45 minutes. If that was a 1 o'clock start that went till 6 o'clock in the evening, that would be fine. It was the fact that it was 12:45 and I had to wake up at 7 o'clock this morning. I wanted it to end. And I'm going to tell you the truth here. I wanted Kansas City, desperate for Kansas City to win.
Me too.
How could you not? Unless you're from Oakland or unless you, hate the Royals for some reason. Like
Who
you're St.
hates
Louis.
the Royals?
Maybe if you're a St. Louis Cardinals fan, I don't know.
Do they hate? I don't think St. Louis Cardinals fans hate anything.
No?
No.
They're happy people?
Always.
Okay. But I really wanted the Royals to win this game last night. If you told me Royals-Pirates, I know Bud Selig and Rob Manfred wouldn't be happy, I would.
I would be thrilled.
That would be awesome. That would be great. So I wanted the Royals to win. But the game just went on and on and on. And it's 7-3, and it's 7-6, and it's 7-7, and it's 8-7. We go to the bottom of the 12th. And this is my honest thought. Rooting for the Royals. I said, you know what? Either do not score or score 2 runs here. Because I can't deal with 1 run heading to the 13th, and then pushing 130, 230. I needed that game to end. So I was thrilled that Kansas City scored 2 runs in the bottom of the frame, but regardless, I needed that game to end in the 12th inning.
The pitch. Swing and a line drive. Base hit left field. Colon around third. Here he comes. He scores. 29 years worth the wait. In 12, Kansas City wins 9-8.
John Shambi with the call on ESPN Radio. What a finish, too. Salvador Perez's at-bats with 2 chances to win it prior to that could not have looked worse. I mean, his at-bats looked atrocious.
He looked terrible in that game last night.
My gosh, he couldn't have looked worse, and he comes through with the big hit. And I love that. And here's the thing about baseball. And I'm a baseball guy.
Are you going to teach us?
You're a baseball guy.
I love baseball.
And that was the sport I played longest as well. Baseball at this time of year is so brilliant because you have time to process the drama. If you get a 4-hour, 45-minute, 12-inning game in the middle of August when you don't feel the stakes at all, it feels long.
Well, it is long.
And it's a drip. But last night, that is hardcore drama. And to feel the atmosphere, think about that. That's 3 decades that city is gone without a night like last night. That is a very long time. That's longer. I was not alive the last time the Royals played in a playoff game. That's a long time.
You would have no idea what that feels like. As a Yankees fan, 29 years of just bad baseball is completely foreign to you. As a Mets fan, I know what a long time is like to not have my team win. I mean, it's been a long time for the Mets, and even prior to that, when I was growing up in the late 70s, early 80s, until 84-ish, they were a horrendous baseball team. I feel great for Kansas City. I really do. I think that the team is fun, the fans are lively, the fact that they haven't been here in 29 years, the whole story just wraps up with a very pretty bow, and it's phenomenal. I'm really happy that we got to see that last night.
And thank God for Ned Yost that the Royals won that game, because his decision to take out James Shields in the 6th inning at 88 pitches and bring in Ventura, who's a rookie, who's appeared in relief once, who threw 73 pitches on Sunday when he has a bullpen that is as locked down as any trio in the major leagues.
Herrera's outstanding. Wade Davis has been phenomenal.
Yes.
And Holland in the back end is as good as any closer in baseball now.
They have a trio that's as good as any trio in baseball. And you are going to go to a guy who has not appeared out of the pen but once this entire year, who threw 73 pitches 2 days ago, and who's a rookie with 2 men on protecting a 1-run lead in the 6th inning of a playoff game, of a do-or-die playoff game?
I thought it was just an awful decision, and I agree with you. But can I take a step back? James Shields is known as who?
Well, big game, James.
Can we start a stand, like right now, you and I start like a movement, a momentum? Can we eliminate that nickname?
He's pitched in a lot of them. He just hasn't had a lot of success in them.
But doesn't it imply?
Yes.
Like big game, like you would want him in a big game?
It's an inappropriate nickname.
It's
like
awful.
Dave Nicely Coiffed Rothenberg.
What does that mean?
I mean, nobody would say that. That would be an inappropriate nickname.
Well, how do you? Why? Why do you go there?
Yeah,
you had your pick of the litter, and I got a tweet, and I wasn't going to say this.
All right,
but now I am.
Okay,
I got a tweet from someone yesterday. It said, when Ruocco's on with Michael K, Dave, he's so nice and polite, never challenges, never makes aggressive moves. He didn't used to do it with Stephen A. Smith. He does it with you. Why does he take shots at you? Well, why is this,
Ryan?
No,
I was aggressive with Stephen A.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You would take shots at Stephen A?
Yeah,
you would take shots at his coiffing or his mustache something like that?
They were just subtle shots. Yeah, absolutely.
So that they would go beneath his radar?
Yeah. Yes.
So with me, you want to put them right into the radar so it's obvious and it's apparent.
It's because I know you can handle them.
Oh.
I think of you as a secure man who is very comfortable in everything that he does. And so I know if I want to throw a little zing your way, like friends do, you're not going to be so sensitive about it. Or so I thought.
Well, it was early and it was unexpected.
Fair enough.
See, he just did it again. Did you just see?
He did it again? I missed it. What did he do?
He was like, or so I thought, which means that his compliment is completely invalid.
That one didn't bother me as much. The first one I thought was very bothersome. It was a shot to the face.
No.
It was a square punch to the nose.
So he's saying that you were not coiffed. Is that?
That's what he's saying.
Right.
Yeah.
But I don't.
You're not well kempt.
It's just I don't think you would be described that way. That's all.
As well coiffed.
Yeah. Do you think so?
Probably not.
Okay.
But to say it out loud it becomes hurtful.
I understand, but I didn't mean it that way. I just meant it as a way for people to relate to why James Shields is not Big Game James.
And because I'm not coiffed. So if I come in tomorrow like dressed to the nines with my hair done up like James Bond.
Well, let's not act like you're disheveled either. That would be just as inaccurate. You're somewhere in between.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
You're a very presentable human being.
I think you look at me, you're like, yeah, that's a guy.
Yeah.
Right? You don't look at him and say, oh, my God, what's wrong with that guy? How could he leave the house like that? And you don't look at that guy saying, my goodness, that's a man who, pays clear attention to what's going on.
You know what? I think that is actually the appropriate description. Be like, yeah, he's a guy.
Yeah. I'll be a guy. That's fine.
Exactly. There's nothing wrong with that, by the way. I mean, there are a lot of people who aren't that, and but you are.
I'm just a guy.
And we're happy to have you.
Good.
And I'm happy to be here with you.
There you go.
Ruocco and Rothenberg with you on ESPN New York 98.7 FM. In fairness to Big Game James, though, he really did pitch fairly well last night. I mean, he was at 88 pitches in the sixth inning of a 3-2 game, and he gave up a broken bat single and a walk. It's not like all of a sudden he was tattooed in the sixth and Ned Yost had to get rid of him. And why did Ned Yost even decide to put Ventura in for James Shields?
We had the decision there between Ventura, Finnegan, and Duffy. All three young guys. And we got to that point where we just wanted to bring the gas. We wanted to bring the gas for the sixth. We wanted to bring the gas for the seventh with Herrera, Wade, and Hawley with a one-run lead. And it just didn't work out, but we covered it.
Yeah, but you'd want to bring the gas with a guy who never pitches out of the pen for you, and instead of extending your horse for what? An extra 2 outs?
He was at 88 pitches.
Right.
He was at 88 pitches, and you get him out of the game in the top of the sixth. I thought it was a horrendous move. And, in sports talk in Kansas City right now, Ned Yost has to be the happiest guy because if they lose that game, he deserved to get absolutely destroyed. Can we look at this from the flip side for a moment? Oakland. They were the best team in baseball.
Yes.
For the first 100 games of the season.
Their run differential at the All-Star break was historic. It was so good.
It was amazing. And then they made the trade, which I have to be honest, I liked.
Did you really?
I did not have an issue with it. I thought they had enough offense. It's obvious. Yeah, because the pitching wins in the postseason, and they were clearly going to go to the postseason. And the ironic thing is they used Lester in the game last night. It wasn't great. It was good enough that he should have gotten the win.
But he should have locked it. When you're up 5-3 there, I need him to lock it down.
Yeah, he certainly wasn't great. But you know what? If that was a New York team, if that was the Mets or that was the Yankees, we would be going on and on and on, Ryan, on. I mean, they just collapsed this year.
That is going to be known as one of the more painful trades in the history of Bay Area sports. Because if you think about it, if your product is perfect, okay, or darn near close to it, you still want to stay ahead of the curve. You want to think about what's that thing that might come up that I need to account for.
Well, that's what they were doing. We know we're gonna go to the postseason.
That's not
what's
what they
that
did,
little
though.
piece. So what was the point?
That wasn't a little piece. That was a huge piece. You don't take if you're the NFL, you don't say, well, the league's going this well. You know what? You know what we're gonna do? We're gonna eliminate 2 games from the regular season, and we're just going to give you 14. What? No, that is a wholesale change that is not necessary at this time. Maybe you tinker with some things. You know what we're going to do? We're going to put video monitors on the seats
what are you talking
in the
about?
stadium. What I'm talking about is when you have a good thing going, you don't make dramatic changes. You make little changes. And trading a middle-of-the-order hitter who was consistently producing for you, who was a feared batter, who had to be accounted for by opposing pitchers in the middle of a year in which you're the best team in baseball is asinine, no matter what the return is on what you're getting.
So when they made the trade, you had the same reaction?
Absolutely.
I looked at it. I thought they were. I liked the trade. I did. I thought they had enough offense. They were scoring runs almost at will. In retrospect, it was a bad trade. But was it that like taking Cespedes out just made the entire season fall apart?
I think it had a lot to do with it. I think also you don't know the ripples of that. Plus, when you're a mercenary, and I don't know if this had anything to do with John Lester not being brilliant yesterday. But when you're a mercenary, I never think you're rarely, let me alter that. Rarely are you as invested as the guys who've been there for the long haul. And my problem with it is it's one thing if you come in mid-season like a David Justice, where you're not going to be the A guy on the team, but you're going to be expected to do some things. I think you can really embrace that. But when you are brought in from a place that is, the fabric of your being, and you are asked to be the guy, not just a guy, I think that is a very difficult spot as a mercenary because I think you start thinking about, well, what can I do? It's about me. Like, I need to live up to what everybody's expecting me to be. You're not invested in the team the same way. So I don't like any of the machinations that go with that deal, and that's why I think, at least in part, they fell on their face.
Well, it was amazing because they were running away with the American League 2/3 into the season, and by the time you look up, you couldn't even see the Angels from where they finished up, and they backed their way into this wild card spot. I mean, they barely got that over Seattle. They had to do that on the last Sunday, and then they led the game last night. Now, you can't. Look, I agree. This is one of the epic collapses in baseball history, really, the way they let this get away.
And it's a slow death.
But you can't blame Cespedes in that trade for. They were up 7-3 in the game last night.
Well,
7-3, 8-7, and they blew every lead they had.
Yeah, but that was a microcosm of their season last night. It was all the continuation of a terrible energy that was created the day they jettisoned Cespedes. So I do blame that trade partly for last night. And oh, by the way, congratulations to the Oakland A's, who now are going to watch John Lester sign somewhere else, probably back with the Red Sox.
No, I don't think he's going to go back to Boston.
Okay, but he's not signing in Oakland.
Well, maybe the Yankees next year.
You know what?
Please.
Joel Sherman had a good column in the Post about how it's not worth it paying pitchers like that because everybody can pitch well these days. Yankees put together a rotation with Band-Aids this season. Problem was offense in today's baseball.
Do you not believe that either Max Scherzer or John Lester will be in the Yankees starting rotation next year?
I don't know.
Really?
Yeah.
And Tulowitzki will be the shortstop, and we'll all sing Kumbaya.
What? I wouldn't want Tulowitzki.
Yeah,
I wouldn't.
Anyway,
Ruocco and
he wants to
Rothenberg with you on ESPN New York 98.7 FM. You want to hear Bob Melvin on Lester?
Yeah. Oh, yes, I do.
No, you don't have a choice.
In John's case, he pitched well for us. Just tired a little bit there after the Hosmer walk, but left, with a lead and gave us a chance to win. So, you don't expect it to be the score to be, with those two guys pitching, especially with the bullpens, but that's why you play the game.
Dave.
What, Ryan?
One thing that really made me happy last night is someone who has baseball deeply embedded in their soul. And Andrew Gunling pointed this out to us earlier, and I thought it was an apt comparison. The last night, it almost felt like NFL-ish, that you cared about two teams that weren't the Yankees or Red Sox. It was the Royals and the A's, and didn't you feel so invested?
Teams. It was great. It really was. From the beginning, the crowd was into it. You cared, and I think the reason, and baseball doesn't ordinarily have this, it was a win-or-go-home style, which the NFL is every single week.
Are you on board with the one-game wild card playoff?
It's funny. Now, I don't like change. Like, just me personally, I have a trouble with change and
really?
adjust. Oh, yeah, I have big problems. Big problems. But
how's your wife with change?
Better than I am.
Okay.
Yeah.
So is she frustrated by your inability to adapt?
I think there are other things that frustrate her more than my inability to adapt. But
we'll save that off air. Go ahead.
Now, that's a big shot.
No.
Me looking on Kemp is one thing.
No.
To go there is just completely...
No. It's not that. I don't
know.
know.
Bill Daughtry, a man who's been married for forever at this point.
Yeah,
Bill, should I not slug him for that? That was really uncalled for, wasn't it?
Well, I'll say it was uncalled for, but slugging would, well, let's just say you'd be in the headlines. You don't need that.
Yeah, you'd take it back to your racket slapping days.
Which, of course, you brought to the K show yesterday.
I did. But anyway, I interrupted your story.
What was I saying?
You were talking about the one-game playoff and your thoughts on it.
Being an animal.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not an animal.
As usual.
No, I love it. I love the fact that baseball, that one game, and I didn't like it, and I didn't want to like it, and I didn't like the extra wild card, but it's fun. It really is, and it's everything is a Game 5 or a Game 7 when you get into this one-game wild card situation. I do. I like it a lot.
I'm glad you do.
You're listening to the best of Ruocco and Rothenberg on ESPNNewYork.com. You hear them every weekday beginning at noon, only on ESPN New York 98.7 FM. Baseball had a brilliant opening night with a 12th inning walk-off Royals win.
Base hit left field. Alone around third. Here he comes. He scores. 29 years in 12. Kansas City wins.
What do we think of this one-game eliminator format? Did we sacrifice fairness for excitement?
Well, that's an interesting question. With Ruocco and Rothenberg on ESPN New York 98.7 FM, I don't think we sacrificed fairness.
I didn't understand the question. What did we sacrifice fairness? This
is the brainchild of my former producer, my best friend at the station, John Winthrop. I have no doubt that it's his brainchild because his point is that 1 of 162 is 0.617% of the season, which is the equivalent of the first 6 minutes of a football game. So can you imagine going through the season and having it determined by that small a portion of time?
But you're really, I don't know, overanalyzing it, I think. I think that you're kind of punishing these two teams for not being as good as the other. The other teams have the advantage where they get a best of 5.
Yeah.
They're locked into a best of 5. The punishment for these two teams is you couldn't be in that group where you were one of the better teams in your league, either American or national. So I don't understand, are we sacrificing anything? You're punishing these teams and making them play in this game.
And making them go for the division, which I love, and look no further than the situation the Pirates are in. The Pirates pitched Garrett Cole to try and win the division on Sunday. That's their ace. That's their best pitcher because they were one game behind the Cardinals. Now they don't have him today against my boy Joe Panik and the Giants.
Here we go. Hang on.
I don't.
I can't. Hang on. Say his name again.
Joe Panik.
That's
right.
Name drop number 1.
Okay, but this is not a name drop. This is my buddy.
My boy, Joe Panik.
Let me tell you something.
You brought him up on K yesterday, too.
We had a great time with it. They were killing me for not getting him on the air. He was in the trainer's room. What do you want from me? You know?
Well, if he's your boy.
Okay.
He has all offseason to
my
train.
dad's my dad. If he's in the trainer's room getting ready for a playoff game, I don't expect him to do an interview.
Would your dad works in the league office. Why would he need to be in the trainer's room getting ready for a playoff game?
Well, my point is I'm just trying to say anybody close to me.
But you have 4 hours.
Yeah,
4 hours. But at some point, you should be able to get Joe Panik. Will be on the show today?
Well, I was only asked at 5 yesterday, and he was in the trainer's room, and then they had a workout.
Okay, well, how about today? No, forget about K show. Why don't you get us Joe Panik?
Well, that's because now they're going to get on me if I do that. He'll come on.
So you're going to cater to Michael K. and Don LaGreca over putting him on your own show?
No.
What's the name of this show?
Ruocco and Rothenberg.
What's the name of that show?
Michael K. Show.
You're going to put him on a show where your name's not even involved over our show?
Doesn't seem fair, does it?
No.
Doesn't seem right.
I want him. He's from the 845, yes?
Oh, look at you dropping it
nicely. That's what I do. How cool is that? I'm trendy. I'm hip. There you go.
Nicely
He's
done.
from the 845, yes?
He is.
Does he come back during the offseason?
I think he'll be back at least for some portion of time.
Will you give me this as a guarantee?
Okay.
That you will get him in studio for a show?
Yes.
That is a guarantee.
I guarantee you will do that.
All right, then you can get him on the K show for a segment if you get him this offseason in studio with us. Is that a fair deal?
Done. Fair deal.
Done.
We'll do it.
Okay. I don't know. He didn't come through yesterday on the K show. I don't know.
He was in the trainer's room. What am I supposed to do?
It's not like he doesn't have a game tonight.
And he's 23.
Not yesterday. He didn't, like K said.
He's probably now. He doesn't really get nervous. Like he's one of those cool cats. But I'm thinking, I don't want to bother him even. I didn't even. All I was going to text him was "Good luck, pal." But
how close are you?
I'm close to them.
Like,
I text them all the time.
If you were to get married, would Joe Panic be at your wedding?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah?
I mean, his brother Paul, more likely. I'm close
Paul
to Paul.
Panic?
Yeah. Yeah, that's an even better name, right?
Yeah, that's an
he was a good baseball player, too. But here's my thing. Back to the point.
Yes.
The Pirates went for the division, used their ace to try and get it. I love that because it's valuing the division again. So now you are rewarding the division winner, plus you're getting more nights of drama because that final game, dramatic, and the one-game playoff, dramatic. I am a huge fan of that. Whereas before, remember the Yankees and Rays? When they
used to not play. They used to set up their dotation for the postseason down in the final weeks of the season. Then whoever came up with that, is this unfair in the sake of making it more exciting? No, it's perfectly fair. And in addition to that, Ryan, it makes it more exciting.
It does. It makes it much more exciting. Ruocco and Rothenberg with you on ESPN New York 98.7 FM. Calvin in NYC. Calvin, were you happy for the Kansas Cityans last night?
Well, the Kansas City Royals, they deserve to win after 29 years. It was a tremendous win by them. Yost, I felt bad for him that they would have lost because he wouldn't be the coach anymore. And Dave, I got something to say to you. I would love to watch a Giants game with you. That's up to you, though.
Yeah, I don't know.
Calvin's a good transitioner because I wanted to talk about Big Blue.
Do you think, by the way, we could raffle off someone watching a Giants game with me?
Yes.
That would be. Don't you think that people would pay to watch a Giants game with me?
Yes. I absolutely do. Why don't we do that?
I don't know. Jeff was here. Is when the Giants were playing the Packers in that NFC divisional game in 2011.
Yeah.
And an intern came in to watch the game with me. You remember that, Jeff?
I do.
And she left within 3 minutes. She's like, no.
Really?
Yeah.
She liked the Giants, too. She was like, we're Giants fans. We'll watch together. It'd be cool.
Can we watch a Giant game together as well?
Sure.
Because we haven't. I don't think we've ever watched a Giant game together.
No, I know we have not.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Should do it Sunday.
Why the attitude about that?
Well, because
you're
not sure. I mean, I remember where I am for every single game ever.
Okay. Really?
Yeah.
So if I say to you, week 4, 1997, where'd you watch the game?
Yeah, 27th Street and 2nd Avenue, where I lived at the time.
Wow.
Yes.
That's pretty impressive.
Well, week 4, I don't remember if they were home or on the road. I might have been at the game, but yes.
Okay.
Otherwise, I was watching it at home.
I feel very good about this Giants team right now.
I do as well. Now, I have a stat for you.
Can you tell me the stat?
You want it right off the bat?
I want the stat.
All right. Atlanta Falcons. Good team, right? 2-2. Now, by the way, they had to – did you know this? And this isn't the stat. This is just a little to whet the appetite. Their tight end from Stanford, I think his name is Levine Tololo, is his name?
You grew up with him.
No, I'm not you.
He's from the 845.
No, not you with the name dropping. But this kid, Levine Tololo, is a tight end. Do you know how banged up they are? He had to play tackle a little bit this past Sunday.
Did he really?
That's how bad their offensive line is.
Wow.
Yeah, they lost their starting center.
60% of it's gone, right?
Their starting center is out. Another offensive lineman is out. Sam Baker's already out for the season. And one of their better defensive players, I think it's William Moore, the safety. He's out. I guess he's on short-term IR where he can come back later.
Is the left tackle healthy? Who they drafted, Matthews?
The kid Matthews? I think he's healthy,
okay. Yeah.
But their offensive line's a mess. But are you ready for the stat, which I think will blow your mind? Do you know the last time the Falcons won a game outdoors?
It can't be that long.
What do you think then?
I'll say week 4 last year.
October 28th of 2012.
Are you serious?
They haven't won a game outdoors since they beat the Cowboys on October 28th of 2012.
How many straight games have they lost?
You'd have to do well, I don't think losing, but they've won games indoors.
No, lost outdoors.
Oh, I don't have that.
Because they play indoors at home. And they could play some indoor games on the road. So I'm wondering, is it a lot of games?
And the Cowboys, I don't know. I didn't go that deep. I mean, maybe Jeff.
But they did lose at Minnesota last week outdoors.
If they've played a game outdoors since October 28th of 2012, they have lost it.
That's a good sign.
Isn't that a good stat?
And by the way, Dallas is considered outdoors.
Yeah, it's not even fully outdoors.
That's a bootleg outdoors.
Would you like to? You know what? You can bring that to the K Show today if you'd like.
Yeah.
Will you?
I would like to.
Now tell me the truth.
I would like to.
Michael doesn't like me, yes?
No, Michael likes you.
I don't think that's true.
think they both very much like
you. Well, Don I know likes me.
Yeah, Don does.
Michael does
You
not.
and Don are cut from the same cloth.
We are very similar.
Which is a very angry cloth, but an interesting one.
Yes.
But no, I think Michael likes you. Yeah. I can't confirm it yet. If I'm being honest, I don't know for sure that he likes you.
All right, that's fine.
But my instinct is that he does.
Okay.
But now that I know it means something to you, I'll check it out.
Sure, I like to be well liked.
Yeah.
Who doesn't like to be liked?
anybody who says they don't like to be liked is full of it.
Yes. All right, get to the Giants.
All right. I feel great about this team, Dave. Right now, I have just absolute budding confidence in them because Eli Manning looks like the best version of Eli Manning we've seen in 2 years. When you have a quarterback playing like that, anything is possible. That's what I said all during their 2011 Super Bowl run. And Lundberg would get on me about it during the regular season. And then, of course, he had to acquiesce to me being correct. But it's great when you want to be, prop yourself up and then you mispronounce your own.
But I'm the kind of guy that will not call you on it.
But I'll call myself on it because I deserved it. I'm a jerk for what I just said and for mispronouncing it. And I actually should be putting time out. We'll save that for tomorrow. But when you have a quarterback playing that well, you always feel like anything's possible, right? When a quarterback's playing at an incredibly high level.
It masks other issues as well.
And we saw that in 2011 where Eli was guiding them through, and then eventually things clicked, and all of a sudden they had a squad. Well, Eli Manning is now playing at a level where he can win you a game the way he's played the last few weeks.
But how much of it, and look, he looks better, there's no doubt about it. The offensive line looks better. All these things are starting to fall into place. But how much of it is that Washington's just that bad? Maybe Washington's an epically bad defense, and we got to see Eli dominate on national TV, and we're running with this quicker than we should.
I don't think so.
No?
Because Eli's looked great to me 3 straight weeks. So, no. I'll have to say I would disagree with that, and you can feel good about your Giants.
You're listening to the best of Ruocco and Rothenberg on ESPNNewYork.com. You hear them every weekday beginning at noon, only on ESPN New York 98.7 FM.
Don was talking about his anger issues.
Right.
And I kind of teased mine back in the day. But Dave Rothenberg, we all know, really still has.
You're going to be floored by this story.
He was a tennis prodigy as a kid. So he was in a championship match.
Right.
He's 11 years old playing tennis. Huge match. And he loses the final point. And he is furious. The person who beat him, the child, sticks out his hand to shake his hand and say, "Good game. This is customary." Dave takes his racket and whacks the kid in the face instead of shaking the kid's hand.
It's amazing. This is a guy who broke his wedding picture because the Giants lost the game.
Wedding video.
He's damaged. And you work with him every day from 11:50.
It's only a matter of time.
For what? I really work with lunatics.
I had to tell that story yesterday on the K Show, Dave.
You know what, in fairness to you, you told it very accurately.
Thank you.
Like, you didn't take any kind of your own liberty into it to make the story better than it needed to be.
It's not one of those stories that needs me to.
But you were very accurate. Now, the one that I was telling Ryan Hurley the story, he was like, "Is this really true?" I said, well, the one thing that I don't think I portrayed is that I remember going up to the net to go out to shake the kid's hand, and he had this, like, smug, "Yeah, baby, I beat you" look on his face.
Oh,
which really sent me into this like internal combustible moment where I felt it was my duty to smash him in the face and then run to the bathroom and cry.
Got you.
Yes.
That was what you said to justify it all these years later. Now that you've had time to think about it and relive it.
I do remember
you said, you know
that.
What? You were starting to feel bad about it. The guilt was starting to burn back up.
I didn't feel that. You know
and
why
then
I
you're like,
feel
you
bad?
know what? No, he had a smirk, so he deserved to get hit in the face with a racket.
No, he didn't
because
deserve
when people
it.
smirk, that's
but you know why I didn't feel badly, and still to this day don't? I was 11. I was a child. Okay? There was nothing more important in my life than sports. By the way, you're going to come down on me, and that's fine. You always can. You told me yesterday that you had a losing your mind story that embarrassed you.
Well, I've had several ejections.
Well, what have you had?
All right, well, so one time when I struck out, I took the bat like a javelin and tossed it all the way into right field. The barrel in my left hand and the knob pressed into the palm of my right and the push.
Did you get tossed?
Yeah.
Good.
Into right field. I one time took my helmet and threw it into the press box above the dugout.
No.
Did
it hit someone?
No, thankfully. But I got kicked out of that game.
You had the right manager.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
you had the right manager.
I also, one time after I took a called strike 3, I turned around to the ump and I gave him the knob of the bat and I said, "No, you try and hit that pitch."
Oh.
And he kicked me out for that one.
See, at least you're subtle in your little ways. At least you know where I'm going.
Yeah, absolutely. My worst one, and this was really just being a smart aleck, an umpire told me, "You open your mouth again."
Oh, no, you didn't.
I'm
just
going
opened
to kick
your
you
mouth.
out.
Oh, wait,
and
no, the other ones weren't.
Yeah. The other ones were more aggressive. This was being a real I mean, this will be in a bad guy. You open your mouth again, I'm going to kick you out. I just opened my mouth.
And did he toss you?
Yeah, he tossed me. Yeah. But like a child. I was like 20 years old when that happened.
So I'm 11.
I know.
You're giving me a hard time. I was 11.
I didn't assault anybody.
I couldn't shave.
Yeah, you did.
You were an adult.
I have to pay off my tease real quick about an exciting thing that happened to me last night.
And? Did you have a date?
Yeah, but that wasn't the exciting thing.
No, dropping the name.
Here we go. Well, if he does, I got my ding ready.
This was just a cool experience.
Was Joe Panic there?
Sitting right next to me, Audrey from 24. Are you a big 24 fan? Kim Raven, the actress? She was sitting right next to me as I was eating last night.
Yes.
You a 24 fan?
Love it.
My favorite show. I was like, how did they kill you at the end of this last season? You're one of the best characters. Very cool.
Yeah, was she nice?
She was. It couldn't have been sweeter.
You're listening to the best of Ruocco and Rothenberg on ESPNNewYork.com. You hear them every weekday beginning at noon, only on ESPN New York 98.7 FM.
Wow, what a pass! Brad Keselowski wins at Chicagoland. Joey Logano through to the next round of the checkered flag at Dover for Jeff Gordon. Welcome to the Contender Round. 12 nations battle it out, 3 races.
Kansas, Charlotte, Talladega.
We're talking chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup. Fate and skill will decide who moves forward.
4 will be eliminated, 8 will advance.
The first race in the Contender Round. 12 nations battle, 8 advance. The chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup at Kansas. Sunday at 1 Eastern on ESPN. Presented by Dodge.
You're listening to the best of Ruocco and Rothenberg on ESPNNewYork.com. You hear them every weekday beginning at noon, only on ESPN New York 98.7 FM. Ruocco and Rothenberg's Fantasy.
You play to win the game.
Football.
I want winners.
Primer.
Do you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth?
All right, we get a chance to have our fantasy questions answered by Eric Karabell, one of our experts at ESPN right now, joining us on the Maserati of Morris County Celebrity Hotline. Eric, let's start here. Jared McKinnon, who looked terrific in his limited touches last week for Minnesota. Is he someone you play in standard leagues this Thursday night against Green Bay?
He's not somebody I play. I don't think we can count on the Vikings doing the right thing. They like Matt Asiata. He's a bigger, shorter, wider guy. They want him to be the main ball carrier. I think McKinnon got a lot of carries last week because they were way up in the game. I don't think he's trustworthy I don't think either are really trustworthy this week, but I would play Asiata.
All right, let me give you a little bit of love before I ask my question, Eric. You and I were sitting up in Bristol on Sunday, and I turned to you and I said, Steve Smith Sr., where am I going here? And you said, get him in your lineup. So thank you for that, and thank you for the win that I produced this past Sunday. Now let me ask you a quarterback question.
Yes.
Matthew Stafford or Colin Kaepernick this week?
I think it's definitely Stafford, home game. These dome quarterbacks play better in home games against Buffalo. You know, Kaepernick didn't play all that great against Philadelphia. Kansas City shut down Brady, partly because of Brady and their offense, but I would definitely play Stafford.
You know what? Our man Bill Daughtry is happy. You go with that answer, Bill? Nope. He's got that dilemma this weekend,
I remember
Eric.
Stafford against Green Bay, man. I was not pleased, and now it's not a world-class defense.
No, you're right. Look, Stafford might be a little overrated himself, but Kaepernick hasn't looked good, and I think we have to give Kansas City some credit here. That's a good defense.
All right, so, Eric, how about a matchup to avoid this weekend? Who might you sit that you normally wouldn't because of a matchup this weekend?
Well, there's nobody at quarterback that I can really say that about. I mean, I'd say at running back, maybe Monty Ball, maybe a couple Broncos against Arizona. I think Arizona's got a pretty good defense. So that's a matchup I'm trying to avoid. The Broncos are going to have tough matchups every week. You're avoiding your Redskins. They're playing Seattle this week. Seattle's defense may not look so hot, but look who they played. Peyton Manning, Phillip Rivers, Aaron Rodgers. Kirk Cousins is not that guy. Be careful of Alfred Morris a little bit as well.
By the way, I did think of you when your Eagles lost at the Niners.
Sure you did.
I did on Sunday. That's the kind of guy I am on Sunday afternoon.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. New England, offensively,
yeah.
Ridley. Is it only Gronkowski now that you can play?
Well, I think Julian Edelman's still a borderline wide receiver too, more of a flex. I think Gronk's not getting more than 4 catches in any game. So they're a little bit of a mess. It's a tough matchup against Cincinnati. But I still wouldn't drop these guys. I would kind of wait on Ridley, Brady to some degree. I'd probably drop Shane Vereen at this point. But, this is not the game where Belichick's going to fix things against Cincinnati. But people shouldn't overreact too much either. I mean, Brady's been bad all season, but that was really bad. But now everybody's like, oh, we knew he was going to be awful. You didn't know that.
either of the Ravens running backs worth playing, or any of the three, I should say?
I'm telling you, Bernard Pierce, they still want him to be their number one guy. You can't play him this week. If you're going to play any one of the three, it's force it because he's the one who catches the passes. But I do think they want to establish Pierce when he's 100% healthy.
Good stuff, Eric. We appreciate you getting us ready with our fantasy football primer.
You got it. Have a good week.
Thanks,
Eric.
Eric.
That is Eric Karabell joining us on the Maserati of Morris County Celebrity Hotline with Ruocco and Rothenberg.
You're listening to the best of Ruocco and Rothenberg on ESPNNewYork.com. You hear them every weekday beginning at noon, only on ESPN New York 98.7 FM.
Wow, what a pass! Brad Keselowski wins at Chicagoland. Joey Logano through to the next round of the checkered flag at Dover for Jeff Gordon. Welcome to the Contender Round.
12 nations battle it out, 3 races.
Kansas, Charlotte, Talladega.
We're talking chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup. Fate and skill will decide who moves forward. 4 will be eliminated, 8 will advance.
The first race in the Contender Round. 12 nations battle, 8 advance. The chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup at Kansas. Sunday at 1 Eastern on ESPN. Presented by Dodge.
You're listening to the best of Ruocco and Rothenberg on ESPNNewYork.com. You hear them every weekday beginning at noon, only on ESPN New York 98.7 FM. It's time for a frenzy. A football frenzy. Any team, any player, any question. Call now at 800-919-3776 or tweet at Rothenberg ESPN and at Ryan Ruocco with hashtag football frenzy and ask your NFL questions.
What a big day for me. I have made it.
You feel like you finally made it?
I have made it to my Twitter handle has made the Football Frenzy production.
And I actually talked to Jeff last week, and I said, now that we are official, make sure his Twitter handle gets in there.
You're a giver.
I am. I like to be.
And it's nice. There's no selfishness, no air, ego. I love it. By the way, the Football Frenzy?
Yes.
It's brought to you by Advanced Radiation Centers of New York and all the fine people there. Just wanted to let you know that.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. So the way the Frenzy works, we take a question from Jeff. Then we take a call, then we take a tweet. We burn through as many as we possibly can so we can give you as much NFL knowledge as we possibly have. You ready, Dave?
I'm always ready for the frenzy.
Jeff, please go ahead.
Okay, guys, fill in the blank. If the Giants lose this Sunday, your confidence in the team goes where?
It dips. It goes down a little, just because I know their schedule's about to be very difficult. It's not a game that would be an embarrassing one to lose. It's just because they're home, because Atlanta's banged up, and because they have tough games ahead, it's one they probably have to win if they have playoff aspirations.
I agree with you. I think, much like the Jets, Jeff, who had this 2-game stretch at home against winnable teams, against the Bears and Lions, and lost both of them, I think this is similar for the Giants. The Giants are at the same level, I think, with Atlanta. Atlanta goes on the road. We discussed they haven't won a game outdoors in almost 2 full years, and they are completely banged up. And if the Giants are going to get to where they want to, which is 9 or 10 to try and win this division, this is one of those games, because after that, it's at Philly and at Dallas. Huge game for the Giants.
Mike in the car. Mike, you're up next on the Frenzy on the Maserati of Morris County Hotline.
Yeah, congrats on the show, guys.
Thank you.
Odell Beckham Jr. going to have any impact this weekend?
You know what? I think he will. I don't know from a fantasy standpoint. I wouldn't be comfortable starting him whatsoever. But I do think he'll have some impact this weekend. I think you'll probably see him play, I don't know, a couple handfuls of snaps at least. And I think he's the kind of player that if he gets the ball, can make things happen. So, yeah, I think you'll see something that makes you encouraged about what could be with him.
Yeah, I don't expect much from him this 1 week. I'm excited that he's going to get back. I can't wait to see him on the field. Stay healthy. Get the feel of the. I mean, the guy's never practiced in a training camp before. He's never played in a preseason game. This is going to be completely new for him. I have very low expectations. Anything he does is gravy for me. But down the road this year, I think he'll turn into a really good weapon.
Craig Haberstraw tweets at us saying, "What are our thoughts on the Miami Dolphins winning the division?"
I can't do it, Ryan. I still go with the Patriots. I know they've looked absolutely dreadful. But Miami, heading into that game in Oakland, was on the verge of making a switch at quarterback. So, I think that you could snap your fingers and Miami could fall apart and be a 6 or 7 win team. I'm not going there. I'm still with New England.
You know what? I can't go there either because I still think the Patriots struggle early, get better late. And even though they're going to have a further place to come from this year, I still think they'll get there. And I don't have faith in any other team in the division, including the Dolphins. JC, Go for it, baby. Round 2 of the frenzy.
Okay, Dennis Allen has been fired. Will he be the only NFL coach fired in the season this year?
That's a great question. Jeff asked some good questions.
He does, but he asks these questions which take a lot of thought, which makes me have to...
It slows down your frenziness?
Yeah, it makes me need to wrap my head around. Yeah, I don't think Marone goes.
Are you eating a sandwich?
I just wanted to know.
Did you just buy me a little time by doing that?
I was trying to.
Thank you. Well, it is lunchtime.
It is.
And we are on every day at lunchtime.
And so always join us for 62 minutes with your lunch.
That's right.
11:58 to 1. Go. Sorry.
Yeah, Lovie Smith at least righted the ship a little bit. Yes, I think that Dennis Allen, the only one that will lose his job this year.
During the season, I'd say probably. I'll tell you what. If the Jets start out 1-6,
he's not going to go.
He's not going to because replacing your head coach in the middle of a season, this is not a sport where you can do
and
that.
You know the owner loves him.
I know, but I think you could replace him at the end of the year.
Oh, but that's not what was the question, Jeff?
Yeah, I know. In season.
It was in season. Okay.
I think Dennis Allen is probably the only one in season. Yes, I will agree with that. Terry in Brick, New Jersey. Terry, you're up next on the Frenzy on the Maserati of Morris County Hotline.
How you guys doing today, man?
Good. What's up, Terry?
All right, this is my question for you. RG3, do you think he'll come back and get a starting job against Kirk Cousins?
Well, you know what? If Kirk Cousins continues to look like he did last week, then yes, because Kirk Cousins was giving away free footballs, and the Giants were the recipients. Those interceptions were some of the worst interceptions I have seen since that guy started for the Cardinals against the Jets a couple of years ago. Remember that? He was a third
where they brought
stringer.
McElroy into that
yes,
game? Oh,
the game
my God.
That was and I feel bad. Because I don't want to ostracize an individual who made it to
when
the
you're
NFL.
that bad.
That was the worst quarterbacking
from San Diego. Lindley. Was it Ryan Lindley?
Yes, that was the worst performance I've ever seen on the professional level, and that includes the XFL.
That game was one of the worst games I've ever seen.
Yeah,
that game was absolutely horrendous. What was the question here?
The question was, do you think RG3 gets his job back when he's healthy?
You know, it's funny because before that game they were building a statue to Kirk Cousins, and then after that game it was can he keep the job? Yeah, I do. I think that RG3 gets the job back when he comes back.
Yakov Buim, he tweets at us and says, do you blame the poor start on the Jets' talent, John Idzik, or do they need to play better?
Yes.
Both.
Play better.
Play better.
I don't think that the Jets are lack talent so much. I think that they're okay. I think that they're right there with a lot of these other teams, but they haven't executed, and they turn the ball over, and they don't turn the opposition over.
One more speed round. Jeff gets us started.
Does Geno Smith start the week after the Charger game?
No.
Yes.
All right, fair enough. Joel in New Jersey. Joel, you're up next on the Frenzy. Get right to it, baby.
What's up, guys? My question for you guys is, do you guys realistically think that the Giants can win the division this year?
Yes, I do. The offensive line was my biggest question mark, and they look really good over the last few weeks. So, yeah, I think they can.
I think Philly's going to come back to life. Dallas has been impressive. Do I think that they can? Yeah, I think the Giants can win this division. By the way, that wasn't Superman's father, was it?
Ooh, it may have been.
You think? And you just cut him off so quickly?
I shouldn't have.
I might have had questions had it been his real father.
Huge mistake on my part. Sushumi Araki tweets at us saying, do we think the Cowboys will fall apart? You're glad I'm pronouncing these names and not you, aren't you?
Yes, thankfully.
Hey, I do think the Cowboys will still step back at some point because I just believe in the Giants and Eagles a little more this year.
The Cowboys have impressed me. I think it's the Eagles and Cowboys and Giants at that next rung. The Redskins are going to be dreadful.
And you know what, Dave?
Tell
we have reached the end of our Football Frenzy.
You're listening to the best of Ruocco and Rothenberg on ESPNNewYork.com. You hear them every weekday beginning at noon, only on ESPN New York 98.7 FM.
Wow, what a pass! Brad Keselowski wins at Chicagoland. Joey Logano through to the next round of the checkered flag at Dover for Jeff Gordon. Welcome to the Contender Round.
12 nations battle it out, 3 races.
Kansas, Charlotte, Talladega.
We're talking chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup. Fate and skill will decide who moves forward. 4 will be eliminated, 8 will advance.
The first race in the Contender Round. 12 nations battle, 8 advance. The chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup at Kansas. Sunday at 1 Eastern on ESPN. Presented by Dodge.